masters. How? Through your currency increasing in worth. So take your focus off the numbers, okay, which is what they don't want you to do, is what I'm asking you to do, and focus on the worth, okay? Just say, well, what is going on here? Why is my currency so diminished in worth? Does this make sense? Help me to understand this thing called cost of living inflation. You know, there's a lot of confusion out there. People talk about inflation and deflation, and my head spins because they're not, first of all, being clear. Are we talking about currency inflation or deflation? Or are we talking about basic fundamental cost of living inflation or deflation? Okay, and then there's so many people that they want their commodity, their investments to increase. That's good when that inflates, which is a special interest. It's not the currency that's commonly used by the whole. And that's the scale we need to use, is the common currency being used by the whole. Because otherwise we're just broken down into special interest groups that say, rah, 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 when our investment, our commodity goes up, not realizing how it hurts somebody else. But I don't care about luxury items. I don't really care about the precious metals or gems and all this stuff. Look, that stuff is, you know, that is like an investment. It's just dead money. I mean, it's sitting there. If it goes up, if it goes down, as long as it's just sitting there and it's out of circulation, then it's kind of dead. You know, people think that, well, the stock market's alive and people are investing and I'm making dividends and all this stuff. Look, it's all dead. It's all going to these crooked brokers out there. You see the salaries they're making. They don't care. I mean, these traders are just, look, these are the kind of people that just want a paycheck. You know, they've been taught, they've been inculcated into trusting in this system. Their faith is in the system. They, you know, the conscience is secondary. How many of them pray or, you know, study the scriptures or really give a damn about conscience? I mean, it's about a paycheck, stupid. Everything, you know, is about a paycheck. Money first, God second, conscience second, Constitution second, but I got to concentrate on the money. This is where my attention, my affection, my focus should be. And it's just nonsensical, just ridiculous. We've got to care about the currency going up in worth. I don't care if it goes up or down in worth to gold. I don't care if gold personally goes to $100,000 an ounce. Really, what does it matter? They're just numbers. I don't care if silver goes to, you know, $500,000 an ounce. It doesn't matter, okay? Because these are basically luxury items. Yeah, we could say, well, we need some for industry. Very, very little, okay? I understand there's a demand on these things to some degree, but there's far more than enough to satisfy the needs of humanity, of all the precious metals out there. We could all be walking around with a pocket full of diamonds if we wanted to. That's the reality, okay? So, you know, let's get things, you know, certain things very clear and straight here. What we want is the cost of living, the essential human needs aspect, okay? Those commodities in particular, you want them to be dirt cheap. The other stuff can come later. If it's a Maserati, a Ferrari, a jet plane, a yacht, all that stuff could come later. It doesn't matter what the prices of luxury items do. Even computers and TVs, electronics of every type, wristwatches, whatever it was, it doesn't matter. I don't care if those things go through the roof. What I care about is the things I absolutely cannot get away from. And they're very basic. We need food, we need water, we need shelter. The clothing is even disputable, okay? A lot of people don't even think that's a human need. More and more energy has become a need. We need to heat, cool, okay? Because people do die when it gets too hot, and they do die when it gets too cold. So we either have to be allowed to burn firewood, or it needs to be provided clean energy, dirty energy somehow. It's about surviving. So part of creature comfort is just part of survival, okay? So there's nothing wrong with all of us having creature comfort, basic creature comfort. And the government, of course, they should be a part of that, okay, as opposed to just charities, because the government is the one that's allowing the problem. This is where the fascism comes in. This is where the crony capitalism comes in. This is what drives people, you know, in hordes to, you know, the likings of the socialist mind. Okay, this is what they want. They say, yes, we want entitlement. We want socialism. It's the answer, the Robin Hood thing. Take from the haves and give to the have-nots. It's all very logical and all makes sense to somebody that's just been raped up one side and down the other financially. And that's what they're seeing. So you want to understand this is cause and effect. Nothing is happening in a vacuum. This is one thing leading to another. It's all very basic and fundamental. So who is causing this thumb-sucking commie mentality out there? This entitled, mentality? Well, it's the crony capitalists and all those that endorse it. They say, "Oh, this is capitalism. What? You don't like capitalism? Who are you? What the hell? Survival is strongest. Business failure." But yet, we're bailing out the criminals. I mean, if we had quantitative easing for the people, which is much more what I'm talking about, okay, then the currency's there. Could you imagine the poor people that would love to afford to fix their car, and how much that mechanic sitting there twiddling his thumb would love to have that poor person come and be able to afford to come and get their car fixed? Do you understand how that would work for Main Street? But instead, we bail out the criminals that are the cause. These are the causers of our problems. All of our problems, all of the problems. Remember, it's all traceable to this economic rape, the debasement, the devaluation, the deflation of your currency. This is how it's happening, okay? It's not ambiguous. It's not ambivalent in any way. It's very clear, cut, concise. And these people are monsters. They just don't care. As long as they're doing good and as long as their numbers are going up faster than the worth is going down, they're happy. They don't complain. You know what I mean? They just go on their vacations. They do what they want, and they just keep their nose to the grindstone, and that means doing a useless job that doesn't matter. If all of them fell off the face of the earth tomorrow, hey, it'd just be a bunch of dead leeches. I mean, the way they're behaving in terms of, their financial rape upon the people. Okay, there's so many people. I mean, actually, the vast majority of jobs out there are unproductive. You can say, yeah, but at least they're not on welfare. Really? So if your job revolves around the problem, if you're in the debt industry, in other words, your job is to lend out money, and that's how you make your bread and butter. Your income is the dividends off the interest earned on the money that has been lent out when it just got printed by the Federal Reserve. It's just fiat currency. It's just trickery, very powerful black magic that they've done this with, and you're okay with that. And 25% of the American population, I heard in years ago in a statistic, were employed in the financial services industry. So all these jobs are useless. There's so many of these people. All the real estate agents out there, okay? And I was a real estate agent, okay? But I got into it for, I wanted to get into affordable housing development. Then I realized how much opposition there is because it's so political. Because if you offer affordable housing, that's going to hurt some landlords that's been able to get exorbitant rents. They can say, hey, that's going to lower my rents. Anybody could put two and two together, you see. This is why they need an element. They need some percentage of people that are dying out on the streets so they can point to them and they can cause everybody to live in fear, mortal fear of homelessness. Say, you better pay those property taxes. You better pay that mortgage. And how many suicides out there? Guy couldn't afford his mortgage. His wife doesn't respect him anymore. His kids don't respect him anymore. His wife leaves him, blows his brains out. I mean, it's not just, I think that it's the mortgage holders that are more pernicious than the IRS. I mean, as far as that goes. But then you look at taxes, look at property taxes in San Francisco. $1 million house median price. Your taxes, even at 1% a year, is going to be $10,000 a year. I mean, that's a lot of bread to be put out just to exist, okay, forever. Forever. Remember, the government is there forever, so generation after generation pass it down. And they keep on, inching up the interest rate too, so they'll, maybe we'll make it 1 1/8 or 1 1/4%, something like that. But that's significant. That adds another $1,000 or something, to your interest every year. So it's a big deal. So understand also that the taxes is just one aspect of your cost of living. If it's mandated by law that you pay it, okay, somebody's holding, they're holding a gun to your head. Basically, it's coercion. They're forcing you to do it. Then you don't do it, then you lose. That's it. That's the way the game is played. And it's a game. It's a charade. It's a scam. And it's a very vulgar, mean, heartless game that's being played here. And people got to get that this is not right, that we should not be accepting this ever-increasing poverty, the ever-increasing income and wealth disparity. How long should we let this go on until we're just a miserable third world country and we're all just trying to escape and get away somewhere else? I mean, this is ridiculous. At least let's focus and blame the right source and stay focused, but nobody is. Nobody seems to be listening to guys like me, but I'm not the only one, thank God. Andrew Jackson understood. Okay, Ron Paul understands. Rand Paul understands. A lot of people, Trump understands. Whoever's next president, I hope they understand. But one way or another, God's will is going to be done. And when that happens, folks, the way you look at money is going to be entirely different. There's not going to be any need for money. It's a concept. You can have all the prosperity in the world because that's measured differently. Okay, that God owns everything. God owns you, and so it's all about God's experience. And in order for that to be pure and clean, then it has to be void of money, filthy lucre. But we can have anything we want. All the technology. God gave us the brain to create the technology. We wouldn't have one stitch of technology without God giving us first a brain. So always accredit and glorify God for giving us everything that we have. And whatever you have in your life, however prosperous or in between you are, just remember God gave you the wherewithal, but he also gave you a heart to care about others that are not doing as well. Okay, we've got to care. That is showing our love.